Dr. Shusang Zhu, ASU. Ward Stanford, Avondale.
Here.
Bruce Dressel as proxy for John Willett, Buckeye.
Here.
Dr. Elisa Dahl, Chandler. Tessa Wessel, El Mirage. Kieran Jordan, FHWA. Mike Sutton, Gilbert.
Here.
Ruben Lopez, Glendale. Hugh Bialk, Goodyear.
Present.
Eduardo Rodales as proxy for Scott Nodes, Maricopa. Stin Weber as proxy for David Lucas, McDOT.
Present.
Micah Henry, Mesa.
I'm here.
Steve McKenzie, Peoria.
Present.
Simon Ramos, Phoenix.
Here.
Chris Wanamaker, Pinal County. Marshall Regal, Queen Creek. John Huang, Scottsdale.
Here.
Albert Garcia, Surprise.
Present.
Corey Steele as proxy for Ellie Volson, Tempe.
Present.
Arden Holloway as proxy for Marty Zeke, Valley Metro.
Present.
Have we missed any members that are present online?
Sorry, this is Alyssa from City of Chandler. I couldn't figure out how to unmute myself. Sorry about that.
You mean Dr. Alyssa?
Oh, yes, I guess so.
And then Tessa Wessel from City of El Mirage.
All right, thank you both. Mr. Chair, we do have a quorum for this committee meeting.
Thank you. Our next item is a call to audience. This is the opportunity for the public to comment on items that fall under MAG's jurisdiction that are not on the agenda. Informational items or items on the agenda for discussion and not for action. 15 minutes will be provided for the call to audience unless the chair requests an exception to this limit. Have we received any requests to speak?
Mr. Chair, members of the ITS committee, we have not received any requests to speak for this
Thank you.
action item.
Thank you, Chris. MAG also provides the opportunity for members of the public to submit written comments via the MAG website. Any comments received 2 hours prior to the meeting have been shared with the committee members in advance of the meeting for consideration and will be included in the formal meeting minutes. Staff, have we received any online written comments for the call to audience?
Mr. Chair, members of the ITS committee, we have not received any online written comments.
And when I say staff, I mean you, Chris. Just so. Okay. All right. Well, I know. This item is on the agenda for information and will be presented by Ryan Gish. This is the MAG staff report, who is the current MAG interim intelligent transportation system program manager. With that, I'll turn it over to you, Ryan.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the ITS committee. I have a couple items to go through here today. One of them, Kieran Jordan from FHWA is unavailable, so I will give that report. Next slide, Chris. Thank you. So he had listed a couple of upcoming grant deadlines. I think the top one is the most important because it's an application. This is promoting resilient operations for transformative, efficient, and cost-saving transportation grant, or PROTECT. So PROTECT is a lot easier to say. Saying those applications are due on February 24th next year. Also, then moving down, we've got the local and regional project assistance, RAISE grants. I think he just put those are just expected, or the grants are supposed to be released in November of 24. Also, we have the reduction of truck emissions at port facilities grant, and that's expected in, I guess, December of 24. He said he has a link here if you need to see a full list of upcoming grant releases. And of course, if you have any questions, you can email him directly or call him at the number listed. That's it for that one. Also, the rest of my items here, so kind of rattle through some of these. The TSOP on-call for qualified consultants. The evaluation team received the list of consultants, and it will be going through the MAG policy committees here in November. Our goal is to have this consultant list approved and in place to start contracts for the fiscal year 25 TSOP projects to get those started. Also, we have the MAG SNMO plan, just kind of give you guys an update or kind of put it in your ear. We're working through the final scope and would like to have this advertised for the RFP by the end of this year. That way we can kind of get rolling with that one. Additionally, we have the upcoming IT for ITS training. That is in partnership with Aztec, and we'll be hosting that for the we'll be hosting here at MAG the IT for ITS training. Or schedule that for December 12th and the 11th. Again, this is not a 2-day training, it's a duplicate. So it'll be training on the 10th, and then we'll also duplicate that on the 11th. So that way we can kind of open up for people that can't make one day or the other. We're locking it down to about 25 people per class. I will be sending out an email by the end of this week, and I'll be working with Luz over at McDOT to kind of get the scheduling and stuff going, but it will be here at MAG in the Ironwood room that we're in now. And with that, I do have one more little part. Unfortunately, he's not here, but I did want to recognize David Lucas for his contribution to the MAG and to the region, specifically for his leadership and planning, his efforts towards the ITS community. So unfortunately, he's not here, but just kind of wanted to mention that since he's moved from McDOT to other places. So. And with that, that ends my report, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Ryan. Our next item is to approve the meeting minutes from the last meeting. Does any member of the committee have any questions? We'll wait for a moment in case you want to take a quick look at them. Okay, hearing none. Prior to approval of the meeting minutes, there is an opportunity for members of the public to comment. Have we received any requests for this item?
Mr. Chair, members of the ITS committee, we have not received any requests to speak for this item.
Have we received any online written comments for this item?
We have not received any online written comments for this item.
Okay, knowing that, is there a motion to approve agenda item number 4 for approval of the meeting minutes?
This is Micah with City Mesa. I make a motion to approve.
We have a second?
Second.
So Diablo, I second.
All right. So we have Micah approving it and Tony Abbo making a second. We will have those participating in the meeting online take part in a voice vote by turning on their cameras and unmuting their audio. We need to see the faces of everyone to participate in the voice vote. For those who cannot or do not want to turn on their cameras, staff will conduct a roll call vote. Staff will only call on those virtual participants who did not turn on their camera. Members, please leave your cameras on until after the roll call vote so staff can count the people's names whose cameras are not on. Can I have a voice vote of those in the room and those online? Those in favor, say aye.
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 Those opposed, say nay. Members, please leave your cameras on. Staff, can you take a roll call of the members participating virtually who did not turn on their cameras?
Elisa Dole, Chandler.
Your square turned green, but we didn't hear anything, Alyssa.
Sorry, I'm having technical difficulties. Yay.
Marshall Regal, Queen Creek.
Yes.
Tessa Wessel, El Mirage.
Yay.
And I believe it's just Susan Anderson, ADOT.
Approve.
Mr. Chair, that concludes the online voting for this item.
Okay, with that, the minutes have been approved and we'll move on to item number 5. This item is on the agenda for action and will be presented by Mohammed Shahid, the MAG Transportation Engineer 3. And this is for, well, you can see from the title, I'm sure that'll be in his presentation, but it's the fiscal year 2025 TSOP projects.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, member of the ITS committee. So this is this agenda item number 5 is for the rank list of the TSOP projects for FY 2025. And as you can see, the action requested will be the recommendation for the approval of the prioritized listing of the FY 2025 TSOP projects. So if we go to the 2025 TSOP schedule, as you can see, the available budget for FY 2025 TSOP projects is 500K or $500,000. Call for projects was released on August 1st, 2024. Project presentations were made in the previous IDS committee meeting on September 4th. And then ITS committee qualitative evaluation was done through the month of September and early part of October. And the scores were provided by the committee members to MAG. And here we are today, November 6th, with the ITS committee waiting recommendation for a rank list of TSOP projects. After today's meeting, the next steps will be to go through the MAG policy committee approvals in January 2025 for the TSOP projects. And following that will be consultant assignment for the TSOP projects in early 2025 with a kickoff for the TSOP projects anticipated in February 2025. That's the timeline at this point. And when we discuss about the TSOP evaluation criteria, as you can see, there were 2 aspects of the evaluation criteria. One was quantitative and the other was qualitative, which was formed by the MAG ITS committee members. You can see the assigned weights in the parentheses, the methods, the criteria, both for the quantitative and qualitative aspect, and also the weights were agreed upon by the IDS committee, and it was approved by the regional council previously to follow this procedure. So based on the combination of the quantitative and qualitative scores and evaluation criteria, a combined score was obtained to come up with a ranking of each of the submitted projects. Based on that, the final rank list of the project is on your screen. As you can see, there was a list of 11 projects with the final ranking for each of the project. As you can see, the final score. You can also see the quantitative and qualitative score and the final rank based on the combination of both these quantitative and qualitative rank. With that, the action requested today is for the approval of the prioritized listing of the FY 2025 TSOP projects. Mr. Chair.
Prior to the approval, do any committee members have any questions on this? Okay, with that, do
This
we
is Marshall with Queen Creek. Did the list of projects use all the money, or was there remaining money, and what's the plan for that?
The question is, are there any funds left over, or was it completely consumed by the projects submitted?
So any decisions related to funding is not within the jurisdiction of the MAC technical committees. It's going to be decided by the MAC policy committee when it is presented before them.
Thank you. Does that answer your question, Marshall?
Not really. They can't reveal the numbers even?
Mr. Chair, members of the ITS committee, this is Patrick Stone, MAG Deputy Transportation Director for Programming. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Hey, Marshall, so the technical committees don't actually make any funding decisions, as Mohammed said. We're merely just considering the ranked listing of projects and the evaluative criteria used. After the conclusion of this meeting, then the recommendation will be put forth to the Transportation Review Committee about project funding and recommendations there. So no, we wouldn't actually have that conversation at this meeting.
Thank you, Patrick. Does that suffice, Marshall?
I guess.
For the moment, I know it does, but so your answer is
Yeah.
forthcoming.
Stay tuned.
Okay.
Are there any other questions from any committee members?
Stafford with Avondale. My apologies, I got interrupted while Marshall was giving his presentation. Were there any submittals, applications that did not make the list for funding? Or was everybody on the list?
Were there any I did hear it was hard to hear you, Ward, just so you know, but what he was stating is, were there any projects submitted that were not funded?
Again, Mr. Chair, a member of the ITS committee, funding decisions about all these projects are going to be made by the Transportation Review Committee, but the list that you see on your screen is basically all of the submitted projects, 11 projects with their final ranking.
All right, so it
Thank
sounds,
you.
yeah, based on what Patrick had said, this goes on to the next committee and they decide, on those funding decisions, but these are the rankings of those projects,
Okay.
1 through 11, it looks like.
And that all is within the monies that were available.
Patrick, are you still on there by chance?
Yeah. So the one thing, and just to kind of clarify, and Ward, maybe to pivot a little bit on your question, and thank you, Mr. Chair. The one thing, and I think Mohammed kind of alluded to this, all applications received were deemed eligible and were evaluated by the committee, and that's what you see on the screen. All we're really providing to the committee is a recap of the scoring along with the project requested amount. Anything beyond that is a subsequent discussion starting with Transportation Review Committee. But you can see that all 11 projects were submitted, ranked by the committee, and you can see the final ranking.
All right. My curiosity was, I thought at the back during when we did the submittals that there were more requests for funding than there was available funding, and I had provided an issue about Avondale's application, but I see we're decently high, I guess. Well, we're in the funding, and so again, I hated to see somebody else not be funded. If my application is accepted. I know that sounds really odd, but still. So that's that's the basis of my question.
Yeah, no, thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the committee, Ward. A good point, and I think it's in the information summary. We do identify what the total value of the project submitted was, but at this point, we don't make those funding recommendations. After the conclusion of this agenda item, assuming it's successful approval by the committee, then the conversations will be had with member agencies about funding.
Thank you, Patrick and committee.
So it sounds like at that time you can, bring that, opinion forth and maybe an adjustment could be made if needed.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you.
All right, with that, do we have a motion to approve agenda item number 4 on these rankings?
This is Micah with City Mesa. Motion to approve.
Okay, we have Micah making a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll make a second.
All right, we have Albert Garcia making a second. We will now have those participating in the meeting online take part in a voice vote by turning on their cameras and unmuting their audio. We need to see the faces of everyone to participate in the voice vote. For those who cannot or do not want to turn on their cameras, staff will conduct a roll call vote. Staff will only call on those virtual participants who did not turn on their camera. Members, please leave your cameras on until after the roll call vote so that staff can count the people's names whose cameras are not on. Can I have a voice vote of those in the room and those online? Those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say nay. Members, please leave your cameras on. Staff, can you take a roll call of the members participating virtually who did not turn on their cameras?
Susan Anderson, ADOT.
Approve.
Alyssa Dahl, Chandler.
Approve.
Tasso Wessel, El Mirage.
Approve.
And Marshall Regal, Queen Creek.
Approve.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and members of the ITS committee. That concludes the online voting of members that were not able to turn on their cameras.
Thank you, everyone.
Excuse me, this is Ward Stanford with Avondale. I can't tell that my camera is on, and
I see someone that looks like you, Ward, up there on this.
so you can. Huh, okay, good enough. Well, I would say aye, because I didn't do it during the video part.
No, you're good. We can see.
Okay, thank you.
All right. With that, I am going to go ahead and move on to these other two items, which I was supposed to do prior, but did we receive any written requests or submitted requests for this item?
Mr. Chair, members of the ITS committee, we did not receive any requests to speak cards or written comments on this item.
All right, with that, we'll go ahead and approve item number 4. 5. Ryan was wrong. I'm just kidding, Ryan. Anyways. I can't help it. It's his first meeting, so you make this one worse. All the other meetings are better after this. Okay, so for item number 6, Regional Connected Vehicle Strategic Plan. This item is on the agenda for information and discussion and will be presented by Mohammed Shahid, MAG Transportation Engineer 3. With that, I turn it over to you, Mohammed.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, member of the Transportation Safety Committee. As you know, this project has been recently concluded. This is basically a project where MAG actually attempted to develop a regional strategic plan to guide future CV deployments and operation based on the needs and requirements of the MAG member agencies by conducting surveys and interviews and getting their feedback. So basically the idea was that to come up with a strategic plan with some to-dos in the near terms and in the longer terms to adopt with the CV deployment pace and identifying potential application areas for CV deployment in the MAG region. As you can see on the screen, the study process started with the market review, which was basically the literature review regarding like what's the status of CV deployment in the nation, what our peer agencies are doing by conducting interview for the peer agency and then conducting a agency workshop here in MAG involving the MAG member agencies. Then we also had a peer exchange with the FHWA regarding their CV deployment initiatives and efforts on the federal level. Based on the needs and requirements assessment, there was a readiness assessment done as part of this project through the agency survey and agency interviews. We got very encouraging responses from the member agency. 19 plus member agencies responded to the readiness assessment either through survey or interviews. Based on that, the project's main objectives was to come up with some regional strategies, both in the short term and long term. And those are documented in a project report. The final report's ready. So if you get a chance, feel free or you are welcome to basically go through the report. So as part of the study, as I mentioned before, so for first thing was basically to identify the regional needs and requirements, and we did that through the surveys of the MAG member agencies. Some of the questions that we ask as part of that identifying the regional needs and assessment is what are the predominant crash types that you think are important when it comes to CV deployment. So basically, as you can see, the ranked list of the crash types starting from the left turn crashes at intersections to wrong way crashes. There were some other crashes also mentioned or listed by the agencies, as you can see at the bottom, like the motorcycle involved single vehicle crashes and animal involved crashes, etc. We also asked the MAG member agencies about like what can be the potential CV application in what areas. As you can see from the responses, we found that emergency responders with the highest responses of 14. Then we have congestion mitigation followed by work zone safety and TMC operation. We do have some other potential application areas, as you can see, back of queue alerts or secondary crash prevention, and then we have wrong way driving also. We also asked the MAG member agencies about what are their concerns for the CV deployment in the coming days and years and months. And obviously funding came at the top of the list, as you can see, along with the CV data management. CV data management involves extensive process, both in terms of technical and also in terms of how you manage the data through storage. So when you talk about CV data management, we are dealing with big data basically. So it came out also at one of the main concern for the CV deployment for the MAG member agencies. And then there was the operation and maintenance cost, followed by the limited staff and infrastructure readiness. So based on these responses, some of the key findings that we got here is that the funding is one of the key issues, and also some technical capabilities of the MAG member agencies in terms of both staffing and hardware is also important when it comes to their concern. The second part of the project was basically about assessing the MAG member agency readiness. We asked MAG member agencies a set of questions in these areas, as you can see on your screen, from agency CV exposure all the way to regional and other collaborations. As you can see, there was organizational process, physical and digital infrastructure, technology, operation and maintenance, and then performance measurement and assessments, and staffing availability and organizational support. So what we did is we asked the MAG member agency regarding these factors about their readiness on a scale from 1 to 4, like 4 meaning they are ready and 1 means they are may not be ready. So what we did is once we got these responses, we converted those responses into a CMM model, which is basically capability maturity model, meaning that, you know, for each of these factors or aspects, like if MAG member agencies have readiness. So if you can see the scores, readiness score here basically represent that those scores from the capability maturity model, and having a higher score, meaning that, you know, you have that process already in place, optimized process with a high score of 4. Or when you have lower score at the lower spectrum of the band, that's meaning that, you know, you are still at the initial stage of the process. So through this exercise, we basically try to identify like what are the how MAG member agencies are ready in different aspects or different sectors, as you can see here for CV deployments in the future. So some of the key survey findings from the readiness assessment was that obviously some MAG member agencies have higher exposure than the others. Many agencies indicated that they don't have an existing strategic plans dedicated to emerging technologies that obviously include connected and autonomous vehicles. Overall, the current communication infrastructure of the MAG agencies is well suited to the CV infrastructure need, and overall additional staff resources are needed. And this was actually echoed by more or less all the responding agencies, and it's needed to adequately support the CV deployment needs. And the consensus among the MAG member agencies regarding regional collaboration was pretty strong. So based on this readiness assessment and also based on the needs assessment, this project identified 5 strategic plan focus areas to concentrate on. As you can see on your screen: regional CV implementation tracking and assessment, regional collaboration, regional CV knowledge sharing, essential infrastructure for CV deployment, and regional operation and maintenance. For each of these strategic plan focus areas, the project came up with some strategies divided into short term, which are envisioned to be implemented within the next 5 years, and long term strategies, which are planned to be done beyond 5 years time horizon. We will show you some of those strategies for each of the strategic plan focus areas in this presentation. For example, for the regional CV implementation tracking and assessment, as you can see, one of the low-hanging fruits or which that can be done in the short term is basically to develop a centralized real-time data integration dashboard tracking that can be used for tracking the connected vehicle initiatives within the region within the short term. And staffing needs, as you can see, also defining the key performance indicators, assess the progress, and publish annual reports. Some of the medium term or longer term beyond 5 years strategies you can see for the CV implementation dashboard is basically to have the predictive analytics capabilities incorporated or implemented in the dashboard using machine learning and artificial intelligence for this type of initiatives. When we go to the next focus area, as you can see, this is regional collaboration. One of the main important areas that were echoed by all of the member agencies was that the collaboration to define roles and responsibility of the collaborating platform, and that is something that needs to be done in a regional collaboration manner. But how it needs to be defined and what needs to be defined is still to be determined. But through regional collaboration, what we found that the MAG member agencies are very much interested to work collaboratively to get that accomplished. Another one is basically to secure funding for continued exploration. So from the responses from the MAG member agencies, we found that the advocating for sustainable funding for coordination activities and facilitating and justified internal funding for connected vehicle projects is also doable within the short term or the near term timeline. Some of the medium term or beyond 5 years strategies for these focus areas, as you can see, is basically ensuring sustenance of future collaborative efforts, all the way to ensure multi-year funding for research, training, and enhancement for the funding aspects. When we talk about the regional CV knowledge sharing, some of the strategies identified, as you can see, education and awareness campaign, both for the near term and medium term, you can see for the near term, develop education materials with the medium term, basically expanding the educational outreach and engagement with the K-12 schools for long-term awareness. CV demonstration projects, implement regional pilot projects, collecting feedbacks and refining the approaches. And based on the demonstration project in the short term, another idea is basically to scaling up the successful demonstration and integrate them in permanent deployment across the region. Public outreach and engagement was also another strategy identified as part of this regional CV knowledge sharing focus area. A continuous and sustained public engagement through ongoing communication channels was also identified for a medium-term strategy as part of this focus area. This is for the essential infrastructure for CV deployment. One area or one strategy area that was emphasized highly was basically to develop the security credential management system processes and protocols for the region, and basically to standardize the process and guidelines for CV infrastructures and devices through collaboration with experts and ensure the consistency. As you can see, the interoperability is marked bold here because that's one aspect of this strategy we found very important and echoed by the MAG member agencies, that interoperability in terms of hardware and software is very important if we want to implement future CV strategies and initiatives and CV deployments to work across the region for some of the identified needed areas here in the MAG region. Funding and grants, also another important area identified to explore funding opportunities at the national, federal, and state, local level, and work with the universities and advocating for grants and allocate budgets, important criteria, and also public-private partnerships by engaging private companies and leveraging resources, and also establishing partnerships with them is very important strategy identified as part of this focus area. Finally, the regional operation and maintenance, as you can see, one important strategy identified in this focus area was basically to have very well-defined and sound service level agreements with the vendors to make sure that timely maintenance are provided to the infrastructure that's being deployed for CV deployment, and also timely response to the needs of the local agencies are addressed. Cybersecurity measure is also important, and that can be implemented through developing robust protocols and stay updated and collaboration with the experts. And cross-agency collaboration across all focus area, we already mentioned about that, but it was also identified as a standalone strategy for this focus area, as you can see, coordinating with the member agencies and regional data sharing, joint exercise, system optimization is also identified for the near-term cross-agency collaboration strategy. You are more than welcome to read through the detailed study report that we have available to learn about some of the more strategies identified as part of the focus areas, and how we identified those strategies by conducting the regional needs, and also conducting the regional readiness assessment, and also identifying the potential CV application areas based on those needs and readiness of the MAG member agencies. With that, Mr. Chair, if you have any questions.
Thank you, Mohammed. I just wanted to make a quick statement and just say this is a huge, endeavor, and kudos to all those in gathering this data and putting together these strategies. there's an astronomical, if you want to call it, amount of work in order to accomplish each one of these goals. And so it does give us, some focus, to move on with this. I know there was a recent training yesterday, I think, that Gary came back, and some of these things were also, addressed, from one of our, members of our team there in Gilbert, as far as, discussing them. And there was some level of excitement in what was to come. So thank you so much for those efforts. And with that, are there any committee members that have any questions on this? All righty. Well, thank you so much, for your report on that. It was interesting. All right. With that, there was one thing I forgot to announce at the beginning, and I just wanted to make sure that we welcomed you, Ryan, for your first meeting. We are lucky to have you here. I know you have some big shoes to fill, with Jeff leaving and whatever else, but you're always a friendly face to have around, and you've done a lot already for the region with the RCN and everything else. So thank you for your efforts, and we're glad to have you here along with the rest of the, MAG team. All right. So with that, we'll move on to item number 7. Are there any requests from the membership for an item on a future agenda? Is there anything anyone would like to bring up that they would like to discuss on a future agenda?
Chair, if I may, I got a couple of topics that I provided a few updates from our last previous Phoenix projects. One was the yellow change interval study going into the phase 3. NAU just completed their LPI leading pedestrian interval white paper development of an SOP, and our City of Phoenix Ahwatukee connected vehicle deployment. So I can coordinate with Ryan on the topics and who to come forth to present at the next meeting.
All right, so we can get that down for an agenda item. Are there any other agenda items that anyone would like, or future agenda items that anyone would like to discuss? I know, Marshall, you did have one. Do you still have one, or are you good? Hearing nothing.
Mike, this is Marshall. Did you mention my name?
I did. Are there any future agenda items you'd like to discuss? I know previously you brought up something about discussing the use of funding.
Yeah. So
projects.
Yeah. So we're all looking at these ATS PM systems, and they come with the ability now to run signal timing scenarios. So I'm trying to find out if we can use TSOP funds to hire consultants or vendors to assist us in running those scenarios.
Okay. We'll go ahead and write that down for now, and maybe Ryan will reach out to you to try to define that a little bit more and see if maybe there are some other opportunities, or if not the TSOP, to help address those needs. Is there any?
Okay.
Oh,
thanks.
Sorry.
Mike, this is Ward Stewart with Avondale. I was wondering if any of the other Valley agencies have started testing or even utilizing some connected vehicle components, cabinet components, etc. And if there has been, a future report about what they're finding of various products and stuff.
I don't know if anyone, wants. I'll give you Gilbert's. Okay, basically in Gilbert, what we're waiting on is, we don't see a current application for it. The biggest application that we see future application that's just not ready yet to go on the street for us, as far as like the cave in a box stuff and being ready and showing the concept and the idea of doing that. Yes, we've done some of that. We may even do a little bit more, just proof of concept kind of a thing, but I don't know that anybody other than McDOT, and that was, more not for the connected vehicles on the outside, but connected vehicles on the inside, I guess you would say. Projects that are ongoing. Does anyone else want to comment on anything that they have?
This is Simon from Phoenix. So we do have a deployment out in Nawatuki, about 20 RSUs. We're looking to further that deployment to the rest of the 35 signals in the area. So far, it's been applications for EVP. With our second scope or project with the university, we're going to be looking into TSP applications and smart work zones.
So I'm assuming, do you have any questions on that, Ward? So that's more, again, internal to the agency, connected vehicle, not the same, but similar to some of the stuff that MAG has done, but there's nothing on the outside, like connected vehicles as far as, the consumer, put it that way, my wife.
No, I thought and it might have come from David before he left McDOT that there was some testing going on or products, and so I was just curious about what people may have found with various specific products, a manufacturer's product or whatnot. So that's where it was at. What my question is based on.
Okay. Are there any other comments?
Mr. Chairman, this is Queen Creek. I don't know if this is what Ward is interested in, but we are deploying the Iteris Blue Toad Spectras, which will have the BAT broadcast capability. So we are moving forward with the CB RSU infrastructure deployment. So we should have 50 of those out of our 80-some signals by the end of the calendar year. Calendar year 25.
That would be interesting to keep up with, Marshall. I know we are working with some Iteris products on that that kind of tracking data that Blue Toad provides, and so yeah, be interested to see y'all's results in time. What you think of it?
Is on your.
All right, I'll reach out to you, Bruce and Ward, and let you know how things are going.
Sounds good.
And sometimes you may have heard some of that, Ward. That's in the definition of connected vehicle. Is it these roadside units? Is it some other, thing? Is it getting the data from, the controller into the vehicle? There's different definitions of that. And there are some initiatives, I'm sure, going on around town with different versions of that.
No, thank you.
All right. Are there any other questions or comments on future agenda items? If not, we'll go ahead and proceed on to item number 8. And these are comments from the committee. Are there any comments or announcements from the membership that they would like to make? That's what's on my agenda here. Go ahead, Mike, if you'd like.
Okay, this is Micah with City Mesa. Just want to bring up, I've got 3 things. The first one is kind of most immediate. I think we are working with MAG to reestablish the RCN. I know that we've had a misplaced connection that is causing some issues. So our City Mesa ITD is working to get that resolved. And I'll be working with Ryan and on our team to make sure we're getting that done as quickly as possible. The second one is we're looking at a design for the widening of Ellsworth Road that's going to go from north of SR 24 down to Germain, and we're coordinating with Queen Creek to make sure that we're getting the design looked at and combed over appropriate. And the last one is we've been working with Wong with MAG. He set up a Iteris product review so we could take a look at what that product is currently offering in the initial stage. We've had been able to add on a couple of additional intersections and get the Ellsworth corridor outfitted with that data collection, and we'll be retiming that one over the next 2 months, and we're going to be using the NREX data to verify what the impacts and improvements, knock on wood, are supposed to be or expected. So we've had really good outreach from NREX to get up to speed. And I apologize to Mag for being a little bit behind the ball on that, but it looks like a really interesting product. One of the most intriguing aspects of it is it provides control delay per approach at intersections. So pretty cool to skip through all of the modeling to get down to the part that we care about. So once we have something cool to show, I might join in on providing a presentation in the future. So just keep us in mind
All right, so Micah volunteered for a presentation.
in the future.
Simon, did you have any updates? Just go around the table.
Yeah, a couple. Most importantly, I got 2 vacancies that we're gonna be looking to fill, traffic engineer, 1 positions. That's gonna segue into my next announcement. So we've developed under my umbrella the ITS engineering / emerging technology group. So for the purpose of when evaluating technologies, making the recommendations to the signal shop, developing and following up with ATSPMs and performance measures and such. We're currently working on a contract to revamp the entire city network. So I'm not a network expert. Mr. Ryan Gish has got a lot of background on it, on the trials and tribulations of our network and limitations, but this really came about with our PD wanting to partner with the Traffic Management Center to gain access to our video system. So.
All right. Is there anything from Buckeye?
I'll piggyback on what Simon said. Our PD is allowing us to use all of their cameras. They've got quite a few cameras that are PTZ and 4 quad cameras, if you will. Hanwar, I believe the make is. So we have access to all those cameras at about 20 intersections. We're building the TMC. Currently, we've got equipment on order. And I did have a question for the committee is there funding available, closeout funds available, and anything earmarked for ITS? Because I believe next week is the deadline for submittals.
Well, I was gonna just say if you had anything, I know Patrick may still be online, but either way.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the committee. As far as closeout and specifically ITS, really what closeout does is it assists projects that have already gone through the regionally competitive process. So if you think about previous SM&O calls for projects, those kinds of projects that were funded, if there are projects in fiscal year 2025 that need additional funding, certainly those would be eligible for closeout funding, as well as if a member agency had a project programmed in fiscal year 26 that they were looking to advance. But those are really what we'd be funding, are projects that have already been programmed and awarded through the competitive process.
Yeah, I understand. Okay, thank you.
Hey,
No
Bruce, what is your video sharing software you guys are using?
It is with the camera system itself. I don't remember the name. Oh, wait a minute. Genetec. Genetec, thank you. Yeah.
All right. With that, we'll go ahead and move on to Tempe.
No updates from Pepe.
Albert?
No updates from Surprise.
All right. As far as the town of Gilbert, I'll do something brief. They did actually bring us into their EOC yesterday and they set it up. They were, concerned there may be some election disruptions. And so they were utilizing us and some of our, cameras and whatever else to try to monitor whatever was going on, along with some of the building cameras, whatever else. So some of that video sharing would have been valuable to, bring together in one place. And other than that, we do have we have a few things going on. I obviously won't mention, as I know you all do, but we have our ATSPM project that is kicked off, which is along with a camera replacement project where we're having our own instance, of the UDOT software there on site. We're still contributing to the region the same way, and we're asking for some specific improvements or enhancements, along with that, just to try to move ahead with some of that and make it more useful. And we do plan on, and we already have, I think, a meeting set up, to meet with McDOT and and bring us all on the same page. And Avenue Consultants, which is a sub for CS in this particular project, you know, I know they're dealing with, you know, McDOT as well. So hopefully something good, you know, can come out of that. We can use it to make some informed decisions, or hopefully it'll make informed decisions for us at some point. But with that, would it be okay, Chris, if we moved on to those online? And all right, thanks.
Raquel Schatz, Apache Junction.
Nothing to report.
Susan Anderson, ADOT.
Nothing to report today. Thank you.
Ward Stanford, Avondale.
Nothing today. Thank you.
Alyssa Dahl, Chandler.
Nothing today. Thank you.
Tessa Wessel, El Mirage.
Nothing to report from El Mirage.
I believe it's Tony Abbo as proxy for Ruben Lopez from Glendale. Hugh Bialk, Goodyear.
Nothing for Goodyear. Thank you.
Stin Weber as proxy for David Lucas from McDOT.
I do not have anything to add for McDOT. Thank you.
Steve McKenzie, Peoria.
Nothing to report on from Peoria today.
Marshall Regal, Queen Creek.
Yeah, we opened the bids. The bids were open for our fiber project. And they came in 20% higher than the engineer's estimate. So not really sure why, but if anybody else is noticing rising prices, then to consider when you make your FIP applications, as well as the 30% construction engineering fee being charged to us by ADOT. That's all I have.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair, I'm sorry. Hey, Marshall, we're experiencing that too. 20% is kind of a bargain right now, so maybe jump on that because we're looking at 2x on some stuff. So
yeah, we've decided to move ahead as opposed to rescoping and rebidding and all that nonsense.
John Huang, Scottsdale.
Nothing to report. Thank you.
And Arden Holloway as proxy for Marty Zeich from Valley Metro.
No updates from Valley Metro.
Mr. Chair, that concludes reports from committee members.
All right. Well, thank you all for attending, and both virtually and in person. It's always good to get together with you guys. The next meeting of the Intelligent Transportation Systems Committee will be on Wednesday, January 8th, 2025 at 10 a.m. With no further business today, this meeting is now adjourned. Thank you.
Adios, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.